In this video, I'm going to show you how to free Ciri in Velen before you complete the main quest line there. Subscribe to the Linus Wilson channel. We give you the secrets to crush the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So after the next gen update, you can free Ciri before you complete Family Matters. So there is several flashbacks, but I think the flashback that works is the one that with the Basilisk. So if you've not fought the Basilisk with Ciri, then you potentially could do this, or you could do this on your next playthrough. So I think my Geralt was like level 6 on this save, so you could get to this point really early in the game. And the beauty of it is then you can play the entire game almost, or most of the Velen Novigrad game with Ciri, including Hearts of Stone. So we're going to show you how to do that, how to jailbreak Ciri. Unfortunately, this is not a good way to give Ciri's sword to Geralt, because that seems to have been patched out in the next gen update for The Witcher 3. But there are benefits, even if you don't really want to free roam Ciri, if you could just repair her sword, which degrades throughout the game, which is kind of a bug of The Witcher 3, but Ciri's sword becomes less effective the more you play the game because of the repair mechanic. If you just jailbreak her and repair her sword and come back to the Basilisk fight with her sword repaired, you can greatly increase her power later on in the game. Now, if you want Ciri's sword, I do have a guide on how to get Ciri's sword with the next gen update. The links to that guide are in the description. It also has changed substantially with that update. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Ciri's story out of the shadows. So once Geralt figures out what happened to the Baron's wife and he goes to him, then the Baron's going to tell him the full story of the Basilisk. So this is after you've done the race and you've seen the Basilisk, but they didn't fight it because the Baron said you had to do one more thing for him. But once you've done all those things and you found the Baron's wife, you know where she is, you can go back to the Baron, and that will complete Family Matters once you get done talking to the Baron. And he will tell you what happened to Ciri, and he'll talk to you about the Basilisk fight. And it's called Ciri's Story Out of the Shadows. So during the Basilisk fight, you would like to go climb the tower, right? So to get out, free roam Ciri, fix her sword, play the main quests in Novigrad, play the main quests, some of the main quests in Hearts of Stone, whatever you want to do with Ciri free. Then you need to go on the left side of the tower. There's a big wall that you can climb up, right? Now, she has to stop blinking, so she cannot jump when she's in combat, but the Basilisk kind of loses track of Ciri, and she does go out of combat quite a bit in this fight if you just kind of lay back, and there is the Baron. So the only thing you want to make sure is you want to make sure that you climb up before the Baron kills the Basilisk. So preferably before you talk to the Baron, you got to save, so you can go back to that save in case the Baron kills the Basilisk too fast. But he's pretty slow at killing the Basilisk. So you're going to climb up that left side, and then once you get up the left side, there's going to be a couple of chests there. You want to save. And I recommend looting with Ciri at all times, because you can all the loot that Ciri gets, she can sell, or she can drop it if she interacts with the stash. You do have some use for money, such as repairing Ciri's sword, and all the loot you have was going to go towards that. All right, so as you're facing the tower, you want to go to the right side of the tower on the corner that, kind of faces the Basilisk fight from where you came riding down there. On that corner, you want to do a run jump to the outcropping of the wall that is kind of broken down, right? And if you do that and you make that jump right, then you can jump out. It's a difficult jump. It's going to take you some time. That's why you want to have a save for that. So you might have to wait a while Ciri gets out of combat while she's up there, but eventually she will. The Basilisk doesn't really focus on her too much, so you'll probably be able to do a save right before that, and then you can repeatedly do the jump and reload. Now, because reload speeds are so slow with The Witcher 3, it's possible you could climb back up there more quickly than reloading the save, but it's nice to just have that save right there. And then you want to, so once you get jump and you make the jump, and then you're on top of those broken stones, of the ruined wall. You want to kind of jump to your left onto that awning to break your fall. There is an instant death point if you kind of make that jump wrong. So once you make the jump correctly to the ruined wall, you want to do a save, right? And then make the jump down. And then once you make the jump down, you're free to go. You've got all access to all of Velen Novigrad. So the first thing you want to do is collect enough loot to sell so you can repair Ciri's sword. So my sword was like at 77% just playing the Velen arc. By the time you get to, if you never repair Ciri's sword, by the time you get to the end of the game, her sword's going to be at less than 50%, which is ridiculous that has never been fixed in The Witcher 3 by this time, but that's the way it is. And so that's one big motivation of why you want to jailbreak Ciri here. The other thing that you can do is that you can play the main quests in Novigrad, right? So if you go to Triss's house right off Hierarch Square, you'll start initiating the main quest line of Novigrad. You can go to Notice Boards and pick up quests. Now, you have to, with Ciri, right, she doesn't have signs, she doesn't have potions, she has the blink, and she has her sword. You know, you're going to be limited. The other thing is you don't have access to her inventory unless you're interacting with a stash or if you're dealing with a vendor. If you deal with a vendor, you're going to see Geralt in his underwear, and Geralt's going to do the transaction with kind of Ciri lurking in the background. But you do have an inventory, you do have money, it just doesn't tell you how much money you have. So you can kind of guess how much money you have by the amount you sold. Thanks for Exletios for showing me this. I want to thank Diego Dizla for showing me the parkour out of the Velen area. And so you can also go to the Three Cats Inn and initiate the Hearts of Stone DLC. You know, since there is no progression with Ciri, she's as strong as she will be at any point in the game. So there's no point in waiting to do the Hearts of Stone unless you just want to, get familiar with the kind of the easier quests in Novigrad, which I can totally understand. But she can do the side quests, etc. And, if she has stuff like diagrams or mutagens, I would say just drop them for when maybe drop them next to the stash for when Geralt takes over again. So going full circle, once you've done all the questing you want to do with Ciri, or you've done the repairing or transactions, then you can go back to the arena with the Basilisk, and there's only really one way to get in. So you want to be on the south side of where the ruined tower arena is. You want to be to the left of the covered wagon barrier. You can also see a covered wagon in the arena that should be about at 45 degrees to you, and she'll be able to walk out and jump in and will not take much damage falling down. So she'll be like walking on air and then drop in. You want to do a save before you try to re-enter the arena. That's the only spot I've seen where you can re-enter the arena. And then you fight the Basilisk, or you let the Bloody Baron kill the Basilisk for you, but it'll be quicker. And you should go back with the sword, because if you drop the sword at a stash point, whether it's in Velen or Novigrad, Geralt won't see it in the next gen update. They patched that out. It used to be you could drop the sword here, but you can't. So just dropping the sword, there's no point in it. So you should have the sword for the Basilisk fight. And then the game starts up, and I assume all the quests that you have completed with Ciri will be completed. So the consequences probably will be that you don't get XP for Geralt. I'm not sure. You don't have the money in her stash, but it's possible that the money from the flashbacks, all this loot from the flashbacks, is not affected by the loot. Doesn't affect Geralt's looting later on. So it's not something for somebody that is playing The Witcher 3 the first time, probably the second time, but doing a Ciri playthrough of Velen Novigrad might be kind of fun. But you have to be open to the frustrations. You probably are going to have to rely on online guides to quests, because you're not going to have access to a journal, right? You can only get access to the map with Ciri unless you're interacting with the drop point or interacting with a vendor at some point. Otherwise, you don't have any access to her menus. If you go so the warnings are that you don't want to go to the brothel with Ciri and pay for companionship, because that will create the mutant Geralt Ciri. Now, maybe you want to play do a playthrough with the mutant Geralt Ciri, where it's like a cross between Geralt and Ciri. That's something. You know, there's a Vladimir NG Plus playthrough, and there's like a Magic Mushroom NG Plus playthrough, and like a Unicorn NG Plus playthrough that I did, but Xletails suggested the other ones. So to each his own. Whatever way you want to play The Witcher 3 with the mutant Ciri or without the mutant Ciri. But you can't go to Skellige with Ciri, because once you go to Skellige, Ciri's control over the game is going to be gone, and you'll be back to Geralt. It's also almost impossible to go to Skellige with Ciri, but Evelina has some pre-next gen update videos that show you how to jailbreak Ciri in Act 3 in Skellige, and so you could potentially do side quests that way. So I would recommend that if you're trying to do a free Ciri playthrough, or as much as as is possible, you know, you free her here in Velen, and then you do as many quests as you can in Velen until you can't stand it anymore, and then you go back and kill the Basilisk. And then you play on, get to Novigrad, almost complete Poet Under Pressure, drop Ciri's sword at the stash, wait until Skellige to get till Ciri gets her sword back with the flashback with Skull. So you do Novigrad first, Velen Novigrad first, then you do Skellige. And I think it's also conceivable, if you are playing Poet Under Pressure with Ciri, right? You could conceivably go to Blood and Wine. And I've not seen anybody do that before, but I think it's conceivable that you could do that. That if you jailbreak Ciri and Velen, you complete the Novigrad arc and get to Poet Under Pressure, and you also complete Breakneck Speed, and you keep Ciri's sword, don't drop Ciri's sword in this case. You would unlock Blood and Wine, and then you just pick up the notice, and then you go and with the Knights of the Heron, and then you go to Blood and Wine, and it's up for debate whether or not, or it's up for empirical testing whether or not Ciri follows them to Blood and Wine, or we get Geralt again. I have no idea how that will work, but it would be interesting to try, and so I challenge you to try it. Subscribe to the Linus Wilson channel. We give you the secrets to crush The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt after the next gen update. Let me know your experiences if you've ever jailbreak Ciri or dropped her sword, etc. in the comments.